All right, Henry, thank you. I want to give you another live look now from Skyfox. You can see the area here. It's the Jordan Park neighborhood of the Inner Richmond District in San Francisco, Geary Boulevard and Park Avenue. Obviously, the flames are out now, but now comes the aftermath, figuring out whether these buildings are still structurally sound. 5 buildings were damaged. A number of people are now without their home, and several businesses were damaged as well. Joining us now to talk more about this is Mark Naveau, former battalion chief for Fremont. I think the first question here is, how could a construction crew not know that there was a major gas line like that where they were digging?
Well, we heard the PG&E rep and the fire chief talk about it, that they actually had a ticket. So they knew that they had a company come out, PG&E marked that line before they start the construction. We know that took place because they had, quote, a ticket, a USA ticket. So when they were doing the work, they knew that there was a gas line there. Now, what happened beyond that, we're not sure. Was it they just weren't sure where it was at? Is it, in fact, their fault? We won't know that till they get into that ditch and find out exactly what happened.
Just how could it not be their fault? What would entail it not being their fault?
Well, you know, it's complex. We heard them talk about that. There's multiple layers of utility. It's fiber optics, it's water, it's gas, it's electrical, and that's a major, you know, distribution route is Geary. So we're talking about large pipes, and we're talking about pipes that have probably been in there for a long time. Is there a potential that if you're working on the top of that pipe and maybe you're shaking soil loose or something like that, vibration caused the damage to the pipe? We just don't know.
Okay, let's talk about the timing. So once this thing ruptured, there was the explosion. The gas was flowing for a little over 2 hours. Yeah. A lot of people would say that's a long time before crews could come in and shut it off. Yeah. What's your response to that?
Well, from an IC standpoint, we know what they're doing. They get notification of a fire, people respond, they make a determination it's a natural gas fire, they've got to contact PG&E, so there's a communication time. Once they realize the extent of that, then they're going to have to send out the certain crews, then there's travel time for those crews to get to that location, and we heard them talk about the complexity of what's underneath this, and that they had to dig by hand once they got through the asphalt, so you can see that that eats up all that time in terms of just developing an accurate, good plan.
So in your experience from these things, that is not considered a long period of time in this situation?
I would be more judgmental on the fact that it came out appropriate. Okay. In other words, the damage that was done was only what was done while the fire first started and we had flames on the buildings. It didn't continue to progress. There was communication, there was plan, so they knew what they were doing and how they were moving through. I thought it was a very good operation overall.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Mark, thank you.
Thanks, Mark.